lately have been really enjoying...
I forgot to launch the audio. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so let's just go ahead and reintroduce yourself.
Oh, it's now on?
It's now on. There you go.
This is Chris. This is jamplay.com, and this is Modes Made Easy. I didn't see the green thingy going, so... Okay. This is Modes Made Easy, and it is week 7, so we've got 4, including this week, we've got 4 left. And we're not meeting next week because it's between Christmas and New Year's, and everybody's doing other things. But, yeah. I said that, and then I also talked about that this is not my guitar. This is one of the guitars that we're giving away for the sale. And we have a live Jamplay wide sale event this Saturday. And this is one of the guitars we're giving away. It's an Ibanez Prestige something or other. It's an RG body. And it's got these nifty knuckle biter pickups. That's what they're called.
Bare knuckle.
Bare knuckle.
Yeah, bare knuckle pickups.
Bare knuckle, that's right. Not knuckle biter. Bare knuckle. Bare knuckle pickups. Okay. And Rob, it was the guy who was hooking us up with these guitars over at Spotlight Music in Fort Collins. He was saying, well, you know how you don't, it's harder to get like that harmonic quality out of your bridge pickup. You know, getting artificial harmonics and stuff like that, and not bridge, neck pickup. And I was like, yeah, I get that. And he said, well, with this guitar, with these pickups, and these pickups are like super high dollar, but they're included in the guitar, you have a bit more balance between what comes out of your bridge and what comes out of your neck. And I'll demonstrate it quite a bit, you know, during the course of this and the next live event. But when I started playing with it, the first thing I noticed was how even it was. So many guitars, you go from bridge or neck to bridge and back and forth, and they don't work as well together. Like you have to mess with the tone knobs. There's not this like coherency between these two pickups, and this one definitely feels that way. They feel coherent. In other words, you don't get way more output here than you do here. You don't get, it's a tone difference for sure. It still feels like a bridge pickup. It feels like a neck pickup. And the other thing that's hard to do sometimes with higher output pickups, I like sort of that. I mean, I like really high gainy stuff for sure, but I like these sort of middle gainy things too. You know, and this sound, it's like a single coil sound almost. Really, really sounds and feels good. And then it goes, you know, this is the same patch I've played. I tweaked it a little bit, but usually play with my Tele or my Strat. And I mean, it's... That's the neck, and then the bridge. That's on the neck. It's got this harmonic quality of a bridge pickup, but it's got the roundness of the neck. So cool. So anyway, I'm not here to sell Ibanez guitars, but this is a cool guitar, and it's being given away to me on
he
on
thinks
Saturday.
It's being given away to him.
I have a bunch of Jamplay. They're like, we think they're customers, but they're actually people that are going to be on the event, and hopefully one of them will win it, and then they'll give me the guitar.
So you're setting up bots, is what you're saying.
I didn't say that.
Well, we're going to be watching Lipe during the event, that's for sure. Anyway, we do have a question to get us started off tonight, Chris. Let me bring that up here. This is from, I don't know exactly how you pronounce this, Jeffel. I apologize if I'm just completely obliterating that. So if we choose a lick from a library on JamPlay, it might not be in the right mode for what we're playing. So like emphasizing notes of the scale. So it sounds like he's asking about how you get to that point where you kind of know what you're playing.
This is a good question, and let's tackle that. We're gonna be going into, I call it the evolving mystery track. For the next several lessons, we're going to be on one track, and we're going to be talking about how to approach the different sections modally. And it's going to be really great. We're going to be doing that today and next week, or not next week, the week after. But that's a really good question. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a lick, and we're going to modify it. The key to understanding how to modify a lick is the same way you would modify a pentatonic scale, like we've done previously. You know, we did this thing where we took this this minor pentatonic position, where we took that and we said, okay, well, let's make this Dorian. And so we added the natural sixth, because the natural sixth is a key difference. We're calling it a key tone. The natural sixth is what sets the Dorian mode apart from a straight minor or Aeolian sound. A minor pentatonic has 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1. So it has no sixth. If we add a sixth, we are modifying, or we are creating a Dorian sound out of this pentatonic position. 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, flat 6, 7, 1. 3, 4, 5, flat 6, 7, 1. Or if we want to make it mixolydian, remember we have 1, 3, 4, 5, flat 7. A mixolydian mode, if you remember from previous weeks, is a major scale with a flat 7. So here's a major scale in A. If we take the 7th degree and lower it a half step, we have mixolydian. Well, if we look at the chemistry or the makeup of this minor pentatonic scale, what do we need to do to make this sound mixolydian? Well, we have 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1. We already have the flat 7. We're not going to necessarily even need to add any notes. We're just going to make the third major. So we have 1, 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1. Major third. So Dorian. Mixolydian. Okay, we want to phryginify. Well, we've already done this. But those are examples of two modes, and we could do that with any mode. So if you can do it with a scale, you can do it with a lick, right? Let's take, well, I don't know. This is a really common lick. So that is a standard pentatonic lick. You've seen me play that a billion times, and probably every other guitar player billions of times. So it's just bent on the 7th fret, whole step bend, high E, pick. And you can get really fun with it. You can do all sorts of different things with it. But we can actually make this modal, this one little lick, just by changing or adding or you know, doing things with the notes. So let's say we want to make it Dorian. Well, we just need to make sure that the notes line up with what Dorian sounds like. So we're in A. We're in that A minor pentatonic. So where's our natural sixth? We want to add a natural sixth to the lick, and then we'll be playing it in Dorian. In this lick, it happens to be right there. That would work. And we could even call up a Dorian backing track. Let me go find one. Minor sounds. Basically minor chord progressions. I don't have this called up because I wasn't planning on talking about it. But thank you for the wonderful question. For an example. Okay, so you've heard this one. This one's from Fretboard Roadmap. Okay, so we could just do the lick. Or we could put... Sounds so cool already. If you play right. Sounds okay. That's kind of the simplest version. What if we... Instead, though, we targeted this note. Something like this. Okay, so what we did is we took the lick as it was, and we were conscious of where the Dorian key tone was, and all of a sudden the lick was an accessory to be awesome in Dorian. You could do the same thing in Mixolydian. Since we were using that example, let me call up a Mixolydian track here. So we're in D, Mixolydian. So let's analyze this. So this is a fourth bent to the fifth. To the root, flat 7, so there's no third, but there is a flat 7. So what would really be neat to do here is to target the major third, right there, because a lot of times, you know, you might hear someone try to play over this track like this. Which that doesn't really work because that's a major chord on the 1, like we've talked about. So we do that. But what if we could put that into the lick somehow? All we have to do is land on it, and then we've modified that too. So we do something like this. Let me turn that track down a little. Same thing, right? Ooh, that's better. We're going back and forth. So, I'm having way too much fun with the guitar. But there's the 20-minute answer. Well, that's not quite 20 minutes because we had to start over, but hopefully that answered your question. And you can do that with any lick. You know, you could take another lick like, well, any lick. But we could do something like, something like that. That's really, that's a G major lick. We could basically just do that and take the phrasing. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2. And then it goes up to the 5th. So we could take that same thing and we could, when we go to A Dorian, that actually works because we're, no, it's a long story. But let's say we wanted to do it down here in our familiar position. We could do it there. Not really a good tempo. So you're basically you're adapting it modally, and the thing is too is and we covered this a little bit in. We covered this a lot, actually, in Blues Roots to Rock, a series I did last year, where you might learn a lick, but there's always going to be contexts that you're going to need to adapt the lick to if it's going to be your own, unless you're just playing someone else's song all the time. And I think that's actually one of the most fun things for me about guitar playing and composing on the guitar is taking a lick that I heard somewhere and then screwing it up, either on purpose or by accident, and making it something that is my own by playing over the musical contexts that I design, whether, you know, making backing tracks or making songs. So there. If we take that same one on Mixolydian, a little bit different positioning, same phrasing. We want that flat 7 in there. Do that. Okay, well, any other questions? We might have a little bit more of a chat room now, too.
No other questions about the lesson. People are asking if there's dots on the upper portion of the neck on that guitar.
There are dots right here.
Yep.
There are no dots here, which, you know, I guess I should apologize. I hate taking lessons from people who don't have dots on their on their fretboard. And I didn't think about that until I saw the feed back to me that, oh, well, I'm looking at the dots here. There's no... But sorry. If you have questions about, I'll try to be extra specific if I'm playing something in particular on a fret. Not the best lesson guitar without dots on the fretboard itself. Okay, well, let's get into the meat of the content here. So what we've been talking about over the past while, and it came to it came together last week where we were talking about two ways to think. We were talking about how you can look at a mode in terms of what its parent key is. So if we've got D Dorian, Dorian is always going to be the second mode of a major scale. Not A major, not A as in A major, but it's always going to be a second mode of a major scale. So if it's D Dorian, the parent key is going to be C. If it's A Dorian, the parent key is going to be G. That sort of thing. And so you can look at, I'm playing an A Dorian, okay, well that just means I play G major scale all over the place. That helps you get around the neck, but it doesn't really help you with the tonality of what Dorian is. Dorian is a minor scale with a natural sixth instead of a regular sixth. That's what makes it sound Dorian. And so, but having the major scale map, the parent key map all over the neck of what's possible helps you get around. It helps you know, oh, I'm in G. I can play this shape, and it'll work over A Dorian. So what we want to do is we want to get to a point to where we're looking at patterns and stuff in terms of G, but we're thinking in terms of A, tonal center A. What is the natural sixth? What is it's F sharp. So we want to be emphasizing F sharp. Well, what's the minor third in A? Well, it's C. So if we were really wanting to be Dorian-ish, we would want to do A, because that's our tonal center, C, and F sharp. We want those three notes to be at the forefront of our mind. And so that's what we really drove home last week. This week, we have the first week of our evolving track. So many of you have sent me chord progressions over the past few weeks, and we've talked about chord progressions live, and you'll give me a chord progression, and then I record it, and then we say what it is. And we've come to the realization together that it's really rare for there to be a song that's just in a mode. It might be in a mode for a while, and then the chords will switch around and it'll be in a different mode. Or it might be maybe the first half you could handle it with Dorian, but there's this one chord that just isn't quite there. And so we have an evolving track that was intentionally made to be, in some cases, modal ambiguous, in some cases, definitely modal, and in other cases, we're just not sure. So we're going to go through transition by transition and section by section what we can do with this track. And this is an example of real music. This is an example of stuff that happens all the time, where you'll hear a riff and it'll do one thing and then you'll settle into something else, and the tonal center will be the same, but the notes surrounding it will be different. So we're gonna dive into that. And it's gonna be really fun because this is gonna be an opportunity for you to see sort of the unfolding of modal process. I've said this a bunch of times this past in this course, that you don't just decide which mode to play. Modes are determined by the context that's set before you. Playing modally should be a reactive thing, not a... And it's strategic too, but it's reactive in the sense that you listen to the chord progression, you listen to the music, you analyze it, and knowing what you can know of theory and your ears, you go, that sounds like it could be this mode. And then you give it a try. And so that's what we're going to do today, and the next session, and the next session. And we're going to do it intelligently with what we have gone over in this course. And I'm going to constantly be referring back to the stuff that we've done at a faster pace than I've taught it initially. But if you've been tracking with me, whether on the archive or live, this is going to be extremely rewarding because you're going to see it in practice. Before we play the very first transition of the track into the first section of the bed, do we have any comments or questions to address?
None right now. I actually wanted to kind of ask a question, make a statement. You were talking about, not necessarily viewing the modes, specifically, in your case, Dorian, as as the parent key, but the key that the tonal center that it's in. And I almost wonder how much of that has to do with how some people initially teach the modes. I see it a lot where the basic concept is, well, just take the major scale and start it on the second on the second degree, or take the major scale and start it on the fifth degree to get whatever you want, which isn't necessarily wrong.
That was Fretboard Roadmap. That's what we did.
That's not necessarily wrong, but I almost wonder if it's oversimplifying the use of modes in that context. And it, because I get this question a lot in the Ask the Teacher question, where I kind of have to say, well, the way that you're viewing it here, you're not necessarily wrong, but you're not getting the context.
Yeah, context is huge. Context is huge, and really it's about understanding how those tones sound, how those intervals sound together. We talked about this earlier in the course, but if I sing la 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 la, whether you know that that's a third or not, it's happy sounding, right? If I sing la la, granted I'm making that face, which la 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 la, that is sad sounding. You can do that with more intervals than just that. And especially when you do three, you do the tonal center, you do some other interval, and then you do the key tones, modally. If you understand that la la la, that's your triad, well, a normal minor sound would be la 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 la. There's our 6, 1, 3, 5, 6, 5. Very minor. If you do 1, 3, 5, 6, 5, 1, 3, 5, 6, 5, that's Dorian. La, da, 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 da. If you have that in your head, never mind that it's derived from starting on the second note and ending on the second note or whatever of a G major scale or any scale, that's the Dorian sound. And if we can get that in our head and in our ears, then the patterns, so play a Dorian pattern or play a G major scale pattern, who cares? What really matters is when you go to the guitar, where was I? I was in D. Cool. Okay, so if I'm in D and I want to play in Dorian, da, 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 1, 3, 5, 6. There's my Dorian note. So let's, if you're playing Dorian, I'm playing this way, there's some patterns and some muscle memory going on, but primarily it's because I've got da, 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 da. I've got that sound in my head. It's the Dorian sound. And you can know how to shred up and down the neck all day, but if you don't have those sounds in your head, it's going to be very difficult for you to really play tastefully modally. So thanks for driving that home, Jason. Okay. Perfect. Unless there are other questions, perfect segue into the actual track itself. Are we good?
We're good.
Okay. So here we go. So already, there's two different contexts. There's that riff, and then we settle into something. So let's start with the riff, and we're just going to analyze the riff. We want to know, this isn't a chord progression, this is a riff. So we want to know what the notes are, roughly, so that we know how to react to it. Are we just going to play the riff? Do we want to do a little melody over it? We don't know what we want to do yet, but we will know more once we know what the riff is about. Is it major? Is it minor? Is it neither? What are our options? Let's figure out what our options are. So, da 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 da. There's our tonal center. When in doubt, try E. Yep. Okay. Okay, so we had our tonal center. I'm gonna clean up my guitar here for a second so I can have less drive. Okay, so we have, and then it went down. I'm gonna go down to a D. Yep. So I'm not in drop D, but it did that. It went up to here. Ooh. Try again. Okay. So it's going. That's the non-drop D version, right? And even though it drops there at the beginning, it's okay. We want to know what the notes are doing. Not to learn the riff exactly, but to know how we should react to it modally. It's essentially what we're doing. So we have 1, 7, flat 7, right? Whole step away from the root. Tonal center E, D. That is a 5th of E, and a 6th of E, sorry, 4th in E, and a 5th in E. So we have 1, 7, 4, 5. 1, 7, 4, 5. We don't have a third, but we have a flat 7. So this is an opportunity for you guys to be involved. I realize there's latency, but it would really be cool if one of you guys answered it. We have a flat 7. We have no third. We have a standard 4 and standard 5 in the riff. We have... What modes can we use? Go. There are 3 of them. 4 of them.
Do 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 do.
Play the riff a few more times. Loop that actually, thanks to the wonderful transcribeness.
So Farhan is saying Mixolydian.
Mixolydian is one of them, yep.
Terry S. is asking if we're hearing this from drop D.
It is drop D, yeah.
Yes,
I'm not going to go
to
drop D.
Yeah, he's not tuned to drop D just because Floyd Rose and all that good stuff. He spent about half an hour tuning that thing up. But we've got a couple people saying Mixolydian.
Mixolydian is absolutely a possibility. Should we do another mode?
Dorian is coming up.
Yep. Yep, Dorian Mixolydian. Yep. There's another one. Actually, there's 2 more.
Terry is asking if it's key of G.
Well, our tonal center is E, so the parent key is going to depend on what mode we choose, right? What modal sounds are we going to choose? This is where the 2 ways to think really helps. We don't know our parent key yet because we don't know what mode we're using. We know the tonal center and we know the notes, but we haven't made a decision. So if we're gonna call it E Dorian, then it's going to be the parent key of D. If we're going to call it E Mixolydian, then it's going to be the parent key of A. If we're going to call it anybody else, so Aeolian, right?
Yep. Aeogan 81 said Aeolian.
Yep, you could use Aeolian. Because we don't have a 6th in there. We have the 4 and the 5. So we could determine that. and we don't have, well, so what there's another mode, though.
And Platesmith is saying Locrian.
No, you can't use Locrian because it does not have a flat 5. It has a normal 5. That's good, though. The only one left is Phrygian.
Doc Holliday got it. He said Dorian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Phrygian.
So if we did, we could... That's not how the riff goes, but so if we loop this riff, we can experiment a little bit with it. Since we've got we don't have a second, we don't have a third, so let's see what we can do with it. Let's loop it and see how much fun we can have. This is what's so fun. And it's fun because Transcribe lets you just make this so easy. So we know we're in E. Straight Aeolian there. Let's do Dorian. Dorian, Phrygian. Oh, that's wrong, sorry. Mixolydian. Which would we like the best?
I don't know. We do have a couple questions, though.
Okay.
First one I got here is it's the player, not the axe. He says, I just resolved to the target chord in the key when I need to. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, that's essentially all I'm doing. I'm resolving to E. But the interesting thing about this particular area is that there's 4 different ways to resolve to the E, right? So I'm intentionally picking modal tones to make it, like with Mixolydian, you have this, we're all going to E, but we can go, minor third, major 7. We can do sorry, did I say minor third? Major third, minor 7. We can do that, or we can do minor third, major 6th. So Dorian and where we've got that Dorian 6th in there, or we could do straight minor. See. we even did Phrygian. So resolving to the note is great, and you can do that with pentatonics all day. But if you really want to be modal, it's fun. This is cool because there's fresh ways to do it. If I loop this and just keep going through different different flavors, there's a lot that opens up just by being conscious of those key tones.
And before you get into that actually it's a good segue to the next question here, which is from he corrected me. It's Owen81. Is it wise to mix modes throughout? Well, again, modes, it's reactive, right?
So we're only mixing them here because we don't have enough rules. We don't. If this riff included a major third, well, that narrows down our modes that we should use. If this riff included a minor third, it would narrow down our modes. Maybe it's glaringly Dorian, so it has a minor third and a major sixth in the riff. Well, it doesn't. But if something does, or if you have a chord progression that screams Dorian, mixing modes, if you're reactive, if you're strategic, is fine. That's what we're going to be doing in this hour and in future hours, but we're letting the music, we're letting the context determine it. We're not just going to randomly do stuff. So yeah, it's fine to mix modes. You just want to be strategic and reactive. Any other question? Okay. Okay, so if I take this, so I'll start with Aeolian, then I'll go to Dorian, then I'll go to Mixolydian. Again, Dorian. Dorian, Mixolydian. Do that one again. So very different sounds with what I'm doing. None of those would actually be, like, you wouldn't record that and try to sell it, but we're experimenting, right? We're figuring out what the best. So if we're given no other information than that, we have a lot of options. But that's just the beginning. Let's listen for context and see if we can learn anything else. E, what chord progression? D. Okay, so we have a chord progression. Sounds major-y. Yeah. Okay, so we've got this chord progression going on. So we have this riff, and then we have this kind of thing. Is that a major chord there? Let's listen. Doesn't sound major. Well, it sounds like it's an implied major, but that feels right. The major third feels better. So can I play the major third? There's straight major. Ah, this is interesting because that opening riff does not have a major 7. So, and we could be changing modes here. Maybe this is straight major. Let's go to our key transposition table and take a look though. We decided that that feels like a major. So the key transposition table, we're in E, tonal center of E, but we're gonna call this E major, and then we go to D, which still, try one minor. Definitely not minor there. That's major. I'm gonna say they're all major. Okay. So we have a major tonal center of E. That means that we have 3 choices. It's either E Ionian, E Lydian, or E Mixolydian. Well, we've also got that flatted 7 in there. And we have a major 4. What mode are we strongly leaning to here? Anyone? We've got a tonal center of E. We've got a flatted 7. Sweet home Carolina.
So we've got a couple things. Like Owen is saying the key of A, but I think you had said that we're in a key or an E tonal center. Terry S is saying, is it a 1-4-7-1 progression? Let's see.
Yeah, 1-7-4-1, I think.
Okay, so 1-7-4-1 there.
Listen to it again. So we're calling this 1, 7, 4. Save that part for next. Okay, where are we at? What is the mode that this is screaming to us? So we have major 1, major 7, major 4, tonal center of E. So, and the guy earlier said A major. I think he's right. That's our parent key, right? Because we have E, D, and A. They're all major. But what that means is that we're in E Mixolydian because the 5th is our tonal center. So we're in E Mixolydian, at least for that chord progression. There's nothing telling us we have to be in E Mixolydian at the beginning, right? Because there's no major 3rd. They're just notes. There's a riff. So what we could theoretically do is we could sort of fudge it and say, well, we're going to land in E Mixolydian, but we're going to play Dorian, because the only difference between Dorian and Mixolydian, right, is one's a flat third and one's a major third. Dorian and Mixolydian are fun to use together like that. So we could be milking that that minor third there. And then when we land in the chord progression, got that major third. So there's a major third. So we could do see what I did there? We were sort of raunchy and Dorian-y at the beginning. Maybe I should play better. Oops. See, there was the minor. See how bad that minor third sounded there? If I had landed there, it would just be weird. Listen to this. So many people make that kind of mistake. There we have it. So we've decided that we can use Dorian in the beginning to kind of raunchy it up, since the riff is raunchier, and then we can go into Mixolydian. We could also use Mixolydian at the beginning. There we go. Now here's another interesting thing. Remember how I landed on the minor third there, going right into that chord, and it just sounded horrible? If we're gonna borrow from Dorian in that first riff, there might be ways we can strategically interchange the major and the minor third in the context of these two, of the riff and the chord progression. We just have to be careful. So essentially what we're gonna be doing is bouncing back and forth within a Mixolydian chord progression with this Dorian influence and Mixolydian influence. I'm gonna think about this as a Mixolydian track so far. Mixolydian with Dorian spices. Now here, there the minor third sounds awful on the 1. But when you go to the D and the A, as long as you don't stay on it too long, it's actually okay. There's the minor third. Major third. Minor. Major. Minor. So if we do more than just that, you know. Minor, Major. Kind of bluesy, right? Major. Went from the minor to the major in the chord transition. Minor. 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 Major. Oh, that's the next part. We're doing that next week. So we have this cool opportunity we have this ambiguous beginning, and then we have something that's very definitively Mixolydian. But Mixolydian by nature, it has this bluesy sound to it, and we have this ambiguous beginning. So setting the tone with having this Mixolydian bass with the minor third in there every once in a while sounds really cool. And we wouldn't have come to this conclusion had we not been thinking modally. Again, it's okay. This is all just ways of organizing notes, right? So it's totally fine if we come to the conclusion that we can use two modes. Okay. But again, we're reacting. We're reacting to the progression. We're reacting to what's around it. Great interaction, guys. Any other questions?
Yeah, we got a couple here. This first one is from Phil Schaefer. He says, it's hard to see, but are you bending up to the modal note?
Yeah, I was, particularly on that last example. So here's flat 7, 1, major third, right? And then flat 7, 1, minor third. So I was just going, there's major third, minor third. So when I was doing that, I was minor, major, minor, major. Oh, I was just bending. Minor. Major. Minor. So, yeah, bending, that's the great thing about the major minor third. Start with a minor and bend up. And especially in this sort of context with Mixolydian and that sort of ambiguous beginning. So this is what we're going to be doing. We've got lots more transitions within this track. They all fit together like a normal song would. But we're going to be taking the next section from this Mixolydian section into whatever the next section is next time.
All right, there was one last one here. It's kind of a statement question from Platesmith. The term lead guitar, in quotation, seems a bit opposite when you put it all in context. It seems that the lead parts are really just following the chords. I've always wondered why they called it lead guitar.
The lead guitar is actually the greatest follower of all, right? Like you've got the road laid out before you with the progression, with the rhythm, and you're reacting to all of that. You're not leading anything. I like that. That's a really good good observation, and it's very accurate. Maybe, gosh, what would be a good reason for it to actually be called lead guitar? You're taking a lead. It's out front. You're taking a solo, but it really is not. It's following guitar. That's really the best solos do. They react.
Yeah, they react to it. I mean, I guess from a producer standpoint, when you're solidifying a mix and you've got a guitar solo, I mean, it's up front and center.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing that I can really think of.
Yeah, but even then, it's not leading. It's just featured.
Yeah, it's
So
just
featured guitar. Featured guitar.
We're gonna stop calling it lead guitar, and we're gonna change everything on Jamplay to featured guitar.
Featured guitar.
That's what we're gonna
Develop your featured guitar playing. You know, or you could just use the term solo. Lead guitar. Yeah, I'm gonna take a lead here. You're not really taking a lead. You're taking an accentuated follow. Very good. All right, guys. Thank you. We will see you not next week, but the week after, where we will handle the next cool transition, and we'll have a very similar discussion to this one. Who knows what we'll come up with? Who knows what modes we'll be able to capitalize on moving forward? You have access to all the supplemental material if you're a Jamplay member, so you could go ahead and listen and see what or hear what you can hear and make some theories and guesses and see if you're right. Leave me messages. Always love to get messages from you, even if it takes me a little while to respond. I still love it. We'll see you in 2 weeks.